As they did throughout the 2016 campaign, the most devoted of his supporters cheerfully wait hours for their champion to arrive. The difference, of course, is that he is now also their president. But in ways that are both important and odd. Trump's presidency seems to make little difference to Trump himself. He appears unaffected by the office he holds. For instance, he still can't let go of Hillary Clinton, even though it's been nearly 2 years since he drove her off the political stage.
You remember Hillary's slogan? It was the worst slogan. She paid like $1 million for some guy to make this slogan. And after I dissected it at one speech, they changed it the next day. It's a great unifier. Crooked Hillary is a great unifier.
It works, of course. Trump thrives on battling enemies, real or imagined. His political opponents, the media, even the migrants fleeing the violence and poverty of Central America for the United States. He's depicted their caravan as a cover for criminals and terrorists, and he loves it.
And remember, it's going to be an election of the caravan. You know what I'm talking about.
While many would argue he deserves credit for an economy that's doing well, it gets only a few lines in his speech.
The unemployment rate just fell to the lowest level in over 50 years.
I think that there was a transition in his thinking in the summer when he realized that the economy would not carry him to victory, and he needed to create and focus on other issues that would.
Over the years, Dick Morris has been a pollster, political operative, and commentator. He's a Republican who, during his brief interlude as a Democrat, Time magazine described as the man who has Clinton's ear. It was during his time advising President Clinton that he discovered how useless a good economy is as a campaign message. In 1992, Clinton had won the presidency by campaigning on the economy when it was bad. His backroom operatives famously reminded campaign staff there was only one issue: it's the economy, stupid. By 1994, Clinton wanted to take credit for having improved the economy in his campaign before the midterms.
He wanted to tell people all about the jobs he'd created and the progress he'd made and all kinds of things like that, lowering the deficit and so forth. And he asked me to do a survey for him right before the election. And I came back to him and I said, nobody will believe you did any of those things. They don't think you did. And Clinton said, but I did increase the growth rate. I did create those jobs. I did improve the economy. And then Hillary grew frustrated with him as well. And she said, Bill, stop trying to get elected for the right reasons. But he wouldn't listen, and he went straight ahead and campaigned on his achievements. And nobody bought it, nobody believed it.
I hereby end 40 years of Democratic rule of this House.
Under Clinton's leadership, the Democrats lost. Republicans took control of the House for the first time in 40 years. It was the beginning of a fundamental shift in U.S. politics. After 1994, Republicans kept control of the House for 20 of the next 24 years. Now, with Democrats favored to win back the House, Trump has settled on a message to divide the electorate. In Missoula, Montana, he rolled out a new characterization of Democrats as a mob.
But the choice could not be more clear. Democrats produce mobs. Republicans produce jobs.
The Republican Party has stepped up with attack ads that portray Democrats as violent leftists. Unhinged. Some ads are more personal.
Spanberger doesn't want us to know that she taught at an Islamic school nicknamed Terror High.
Such as the attack on a Democratic candidate who was a substitute teacher at a Virginia high school funded by Saudi Arabia.
New York City liberal Antonio Delgado.
Or the attack against the New York Democratic candidate who was a Rhodes Scholar and Harvard Law graduate and also a one-time rap singer. This is the Missoula, Montana chapter of the unhinged mob of Democrats that Trump and the Republicans have warned against.
I feel that with the GOP chair saying that we have the potential to be violent, it's just really continuing to create that narrative that we are an angry mob, which fits right into what Trump has been saying.
But the real threat to Republicans here might be that so many of these women had better things to do than get involved in politics until Trump came along. As elsewhere, Trump has been like a bucket of cold water in the face of complacent Democrats.
So the day after Trump was elected, I started a Facebook page with some friends just to figure out maybe what we could do in light of the policies that we figured would be coming down from the Trump administration. And it exploded into a large community group. We now have over 4,000 members.
4,000 members?
Yeah.
Did you know those people before?
No. I knew a handful of them. I mean, there was about 50 of my friends that we started, and then people just started adding more people, adding more people, adding more people.
There's a very clear limit to how anti-Trump Democrats can be in Montana, a state Trump won by 20 points. There are only 2 federal offices on the ballot in this sprawling but sparsely populated state, and one of them is the Senate seat held by Democrat Jon Tester. Defeating Tester is the reason Trump has made 3 trips to Montana so far this election. But when Tester's asked about Trump, he points out he's been able to find common ground with the president, especially through his work on the Veterans Affairs Committee.
We put some bills in front of him on the VA and he signed them, and I appreciate that. I think they were the right thing to do.
In the same breath, though,
on the other side of the coin, if you take a look at what's happened with tariffs, being a farmer in Montana, it scares the hell out of me.
That's how Tester keeps the support of Mick Ringsack, who voted for Trump in 2016 and says he'd do it again if the election were held tomorrow.
He appointed me as the regional administrator.
Ringsack has been involved in politics since he was 15 years old. He describes himself as an Eisenhower Republican, meaning he's to the left of today's Republican Party, and that puts him pretty close to Jon Tester.
2 things. One, he works both sides of the aisle. He's a moderate, and his character. And he's a 4th-generation Montana. And he's the last active farmer left in the United States Senate.
His attitude toward Trump is somewhat more complicated.
Every day that goes by, I feel a little better and have less respect for him than I had the day before.
You feel a little, I'm sorry, did you say you feel a little battered or a little better? I didn't.
Battered's probably the good word, but sad is the word. I had great expectations. One thing you can't say for him is he's kept promises that he made.
Well,
I'm not sure that that's all good, but no, I just what I think is it's a sad commentary on the state of the union that this is what we have for a president of the United States, but it's better than what we would have had.
In the final weeks of the campaign, Republicans got an unexpected shot of adrenaline from the controversy around Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation as a Supreme Court justice.
I think a huge change in the election was the Kavanaugh confirmation.
Again, Morris sees a lesson from the Clinton years, this time from the 1998 midterms. Clinton was embroiled in the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and the Republicans, led by Newt Gingrich, were pressing for impeachment.
The Republicans showed their true face in 1998 with their impeachment. Voters, particularly younger voters, parents, said, for God's sakes, I don't want my 10-year-old to learn about oral sex on the nightly news. Get that stuff off of there. Don't talk about it. And the Republicans would keep focusing on it.
Things were happening out there that none of us fully understood.
Republicans actually lost seats in the House that year, an almost unheard of result in the 6th year of a presidency for the opposite party.
Now I think people are looked at the Kavanaugh hearings, and they saw an angry, hostile, virulent, aggressive, righteous, Democratic minority that they just didn't like. And they saw it as being very much overreaching with no real evidence to back it up. And I think that triggered a backlash that I think may animate the turnout of Republican voters and may give Trump the victory in the election.
Montana has too much open space to be a big player in national politics, so it's partly a measure of how important a single Senate seat is to Republicans that Trump has visited here as often as he has. Partly.
And then a couple of weeks before,
Montana also offers Trump something not available to him anywhere else, or at least not yet. The opportunity to yuck it up with the congressman convicted in 2017 of assaulting a news reporter who simply asked him a question about health care. Greg Gianforte.
And by the way, never wrestle him. You understand that? Never. Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind.
Only Trump would consider such a tactic smart politics in an election campaign.
My guy.
But these Republicans, well, they loved him. Keith Bogue, CBC News, Washington.